So, Renee, thank you so much for joining me today for the interview. Perhaps you could kick things off by telling us just a little bit about your background leading up to you becoming an Eazi-Business partner.
Yeah, I'd be glad to. I actually have a finance background. I went to the University of Nebraska, Lincoln, and got that finance degree. And then I was an internal auditor at Union Pacific Railroad for 4 years. Then I went into banking and was doing financial reporting and accounting. I had a 4 year stint as a stay-at-home mom, and then went back into banking, doing the same things that I was doing before. And then ultimately, I just really had a calling that I wanted to own my own business. So I wanted to work for myself. I didn't necessarily want to have employees right away. I didn't want to have a like an office space, like a public facing office. So I was just scouring the internet trying to find something that would be a good fit for me at that point in my life. And that was how I found Eazi-Business. So
So, that's really interesting. I don't know if I ever mentioned this to you, but I used to work for HSBC Bank. From what I remember, auditors generally work behind the scenes. So, you're not dealing with customers, selling products at all. Did you have any sales experience or customer facing experience before launching the business?
I didn't have any sales experience. I did have a little bit of customer facing experience, like in college when I was a personal banker, teller. And so I did work with general public at that point, but that was the biggest challenge, the biggest hurdle for me, with kind of launching my new business with Eazi-Business. I really appreciated the sales training that you guys offered, and the coaching that went along with that. Uh, the thing that sold me on Eazi-Business was that business in a box mentality where I got a landing page, some print material, some sales coaching, and then also teaching us how to develop the apps and websites as well. So it was a big undertaking, and I think if I had known then what I know now of everything that I had to learn and kind of what I was up against, it would have been a lot more daunting. But I guess, you guys really made it seem like it was going to be easy, and you were kind of there to hold my hand when I needed help. And slowly but surely, I was able to um, gain some clients. And um, the thing that helped me the most was that I was able to go out and do a lot of networking in the community, and that was how I started to really find those ideal clients. It took a little while for people to know me and trust me and believe that I was going to be here for the long haul. I think a lot of times people will see like web developers kind of come and go, so it takes a little bit of time to earn that trust that you're going to be in business for the long haul, and they'll be able to have their web developer, app developer. Like, I got this question all the time, like, well, what happens if something happens to you? And my answer was that, Eazi-Business would be there to service the app. Like, it wouldn't change. So even though I was a solopreneur, um, I did have that benefit of being able to like give my clients confidence that you would be there to help them in the event that I wasn't able to do it anymore.
That's a really interesting response. And there's some things I want to explore within your answer. So, the first thing I was curious about is that coming from a banking background, you must have been exposed to lots of different franchises and business opportunities, perhaps more so than the average person. Was there anything specifically that interested you about this space or the digital space in general?
Yeah, I think the thing that really interested me was the technology side of things. So even though I was in finance and I was doing a lot of technical accounting, whenever there was a new software product that needed to be implemented at any of the banks that I worked at, they were like, who is going to implement this new wire system? And lo and behold, I got nominated for that job. So I was able to tackle a lot of different types of software, really kind of do some in-depth learning and implementation and training other people on how to use software. Um, and so I found that that was like a natural passion of mine, that I was interested in, technology solutions and implementation. Um, I figured the finance background that I had would be of benefit to any business that I was going to run. Like, you need to know how to read a balance sheet and income statement, no matter who you are in business. And I felt like I would be good at like running a company, and that's ultimately what I wanted to do. I didn't want to stay a solopreneur forever. I have more of like a futuristic gene, and I love like inspiring people and leading people, but doing the actual work is not really my thing. So, um, what I truly enjoyed from the beginning of running this business was that I just got to sit down with business owners and talk to them about what they've done in their business for marketing, what they've liked, what they haven't liked, what's worked out, what hasn't worked out, and just try to find the right solution for them, and then building that perfect technology solution that fits all of their needs and solves some of their problems. And then teaching them how to make edits to that website themselves, or um, be in the back end of an app and send out their push notifications. So it was kind of a blending of a lot of the experience that I had. And I enjoyed the people aspect of it. Like in finance, I didn't really get that much interaction with other people. And so this really kind of scratched that itch for me.
I also wanted to ask you how Eazi-Business supported you back when you first launched the business. So you talked about sales training, you talked about mentoring. I was wondering if there were any specific times at the start of your journey where you remembered getting that support, and also the impact that it had.
Yeah, I appreciated the fact that when I would be visiting with a business owner about a particular app, and I wasn't necessarily sure whether or not our platform would be able to support those needs of the client. I talked with Richard quite often, and he would kind of help me brainstorm ways that we could use different features within the app building software to accommodate what the client was looking to obtain. But maybe it wasn't how that feature was originally, like the purpose for which it was originally built, but we were able to utilize it and adapt it in a way that was beneficial to the client. So I think just really kind of, there's a lot to learn in the beginning. There's a lot of different features. There's a lot of completely new information to me. Like, I had never been in the back end of an app or a website before this. Like, even just learning, how to buy a domain, and just so many little parts of the business that just, when I didn't know something, there was always somebody that I could email or call, and set up a meeting and get some additional training. So I really appreciated the extra the extra help and the extra question answering throughout that first year, really.
So, leading up to the interview, I asked for a list of apps and websites you published and had a really good look through. I was really, really impressed, not just by the amount of customers you had, but the variety of industries you've been working with. Could you tell us about some of these customers you've worked with that have been most memorable to you personally?
I think the first app that we published was Rutabagas, and it was a friend of mine that owned this vegan restaurant, and we had started working on the app prior to COVID, and the pandemic. We were able to get that app published for her, create like a loyalty feature for her, mobile ordering integrated into the app, and she is someone that has taken full advantage of the push notifications. And I think that, she would also attest that she has a loyal customer base. And, once she was able to have them download that app, they were wanting the loyalty program, obviously. Um, but then she was able to like regularly communicate with them. And she, that was her take on it, was that really kind of helped her make it through that pandemic. So that was really neat to see how that was able to help her. And then we have found kind of a niche in working with construction companies, healthcare companies, and automotive seem to be our kind of top three industries that we work in for website development. And those kind of encompass a lot of different things. It could be an optometrist, or it could be a chiropractor, a hospital. But there's always common themes when you're working inside of an industry. And so then I think that you're able to sort of level up the websites that you're producing, like, in the construction industry. After we've worked with multiple construction business owners, we're able to really, we know their struggles and we know what they're wanting to showcase a little bit better because we've kind of been there, done that. Um, I don't know. I think that it's just really fun to be able to work with any kind of business. And I appreciated when you guys rolled out the Easy SEO software during the pandemic. I had nothing but time on my hands, so I did like a deep dive into learning about SEO, and that was something that my clients really wanted. They had a great, beautiful website. They had a great app, but how were people going to find them? That was always, that follow-up question. And that really gave me, something in my back pocket to, it created some recurring revenue for me, but it, started to get more traffic to their websites, and that was something that they really wanted. Um, and it's now overcome, um, like it's more like a 50-50 balance between single projects and the recurring business that we have, like digital advertising and SEO.
So it sounds like SEO has really become a sort of key product within your business. I've always felt that SEO is such an important solution because you get the benefit of repeat income coming in rather than constantly finding new customers, which, for some people can ease off the pressure once you've got some momentum going into the business. I think for a lot of people watching this video, they could quite easily get their head around why a coffee shop, vegan restaurant might want a mobile app or a website, because of course many of us have downloaded the Costa app or Starbucks app. Some of the businesses you've mentioned, though, are chiropractors, dentists, construction companies. What would you say are the benefits of those types of businesses having a mobile app or indeed a new website?
Well, obviously I think a good website's just the foundation of any business anymore. I consider it to be like the sign outside of the front door that that was how people found out that you were in business. Today, yeah, you might need that sign at your shop, but really what you need is an awesome website that really showcases who you are and what you can do. And you should know, three things immediately when you get to someone's website, like what do they do? How can I buy? And like, why should I work with them over someone else? So I really think that it's interesting, like in the construction space, we have done a mobile app for a construction company here in Lincoln. And they use that as an internal tool to communicate within their organization with their employees. So they may have just so many different logins, so many different systems, different places where they have to find information. And that app is kind of a central home for them to be able to access tons of different software systems. So they also try to increase their company culture by doing like push notifications if it's somebody's birthday or their work anniversary. And so I have found that as much as I wanted to believe that the world, all restaurants and entertainment venues would need and want an app, I have actually found that it's a great internal organization communication tool. So it's kind of been a pivot that we've made over the years. And yes, we can still do the loyalty and mobile ordering, but they can be used for so much more. So like, just really depends on what struggles, any company is having to see whether or not the right solution for them is a new website or could the app be a better fit for them. And it's nice to be able to have both of those in our pocket because not all agencies do app development. So I think it's something that sets us apart.
Definitely. When you talked about the app for the vegan restaurant, you mentioned that it was your friend that had the restaurant. So knowing people that have businesses is a route to market that I'm sure many people would explore if they were entering into this space. Did you also have friends in the construction industry or in dentistry? How did you go about finding these businesses to work with?
Really, a lot of it started through networking. So I joined the local chamber and joined the Lincoln Independent Business Association. Just any organization where there was people getting together on a regular basis. I was there for at least 2 years. I was everywhere. It was a lot of business is done here in Lincoln, Nebraska with a handshake, and people want to sit down face to face and meet with you. So I did have to do sort of like that grassroots effort. But once we had done business for somebody, then getting that referral business from them, they obviously know other business owners if they're a business owner. So that referral business has been huge for us. And we've started to do business in other states because of it. Um, there's a Nebraska Pharmacy Association that we've done some websites for them, and they've referred us to the Arizona Pharmacy Association. So um, it is something where I feel like you have to you have to really work at it, and you have to be kind of top of mind with people so that you're their first call when they're needing something in regards to a website or marketing.
So, how are you locating these customers in such varied industries?
My dad was a builder, and so it just was so organic when I was in conversations with builders, and I think that they truly felt that I understood them, and they just enjoyed the fact that I loved their industry, and so um, I loved what I did, and I love what they did, so they wanted to work with me. So I feel like that is kind of just something unique to me, but everyone has something that they're passionate about. So try to find business owners in that industry, and you'll find it just such a different kind of organic conversation.
And one of the things you mentioned is the importance of staying top of mind, which I think is a really, really good topic to explore. Sometimes when it comes to businesses buying a website, for example, they might have upgraded their site 18 months ago, and this is a product for next year. So, what do you do to keep yourself top of mind?
So one of the things that we started doing during COVID was a weekly Facebook Live where I would bring in a business owner and they would tell their story, just like you're allowing me to do today. They would tell me, like where they're from, how did they get into doing what they're doing today? Why do they love it? And it was really just a chance for us to spotlight somebody else in the community. And I've found that people really enjoy listening to those interviews because there's always some great nuggets of advice or just stories of like their struggles or how they've overcome different struggles in business. So that's one thing that helps us stay top of mind just through social media. I mean, we're regularly posting 3 times a week on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and then we've done some digital ads and that has paid off some dividends. But just getting involved in the community has been my number one way that I would say that I grew the business. Luckily, in doing so, I was asked to be a part of a few different boards. And so that's a totally different way of getting to know people in the community. But every single person that you encounter knows a business owner. So just bringing that into like your day-to-day conversation and getting involved and being out in general public is the best way to stay top of mind. But checking in with your customers that you have, seeing if anything's changed for them, if they need any additional services, or if they know somebody that could use our services, that's been a great way to stay top of mind as well. So yeah, whatever you can do to be out there. My favorite thing, I even had somebody tell me this on Saturday. They were like, "You're like everywhere. I see you everywhere." And so whatever we're doing, it's working. And I was like, "Great, it's working." So I do love I love it when people tell me that, and that's due to a lot of hard work of my employees. I'm not the one that's, setting up for this interview or my weekly Facebook Live. I have employees that are supporting me and helping me and, trying to save me time when it comes to that so that I can be doing higher dollar volume activities.
So I'm sure a lot of people will find that response really interesting. They might also be curious about the background you're using in this video, because when people join the Eazi-Business network, they get the option to trade under our brand or even their own brand. And this is something that you decided to do with True North Technologies. Could you walk me through the birth of that brand and the process of editing your marketing content?
Yeah, so I think that there are definitely pros and cons to having chosen my own brand. Um, with Eazi-Business being based in the UK, a good majority of the marketing materials at that point in time had like the UK twist to the verbiage. So I was going to have to make changes to that content anyways. I'm sure that that has completely evolved since then. But so when I would go out in the community and I was networking, I was known as the app girl because I'd be like, "Hi, I'm Renee Sabatka with Easy Apps." But in this community, if you're like sort of representing another brand, they don't necessarily trust you the same as they do if you're your own business owner. So it's really valued in my community that you own your own business. And even when I bought the license for Easy Apps, I, created an LLC here and I named it True North Technologies. I knew immediately what I was going to call my company. And I'm like really attached to that. Like it's a great story. And our logo tells a whole story too. So I'm just super proud of where I've come from, how I've gotten to where I am today. And I like telling that story. And I guess I just felt so much prouder to like go into a situation and say, "Hey, I'm Renee Sabatka with True North Technologies." And I'll tell you a little bit of the story that goes into that. I was going through a super hard time in my life, and I had a friend that gave me this article, and it was based on the book written by Bill George, True North, Finding Your Authentic Leadership. And it's a great book, so I recommend reading it. But I that stuck with me, and really all it comes down to is just if you make every decision in your life based on your values, inevitably you will write your path and you'll get on your path to your true north. So yeah, when you're going through a hard time and you kind of don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, you just show up every day and you make your decisions based on your values, and things will start turning around. And so yeah, really from that day, I was like, what am I going to do today to improve my life? And what am I going to do today? What am I going to do today? So I love the fact that I I have my own personal struggle in the name of my company. But it's also like a really uplifting and motivating thing. Like it's an inspiring thing. And you see True North here in the United States on almost everything now. Like there's an energy drink that's True North. So it's becoming kind of like a popular name. And I didn't really know that at the time, but I just was I just was immediately attached to it. So Um, I can tell people that I offer like an Eazi-Business product, and there's no problem with that. But I just wanted to make sure that people knew that money that they were spending with me was staying in our community. It, wasn't necessarily like that I was just a representative of Easy Apps. So it was just to provide that clarification for people.
It sounds like the name and the brand has a tremendous amount of meaning to you personally, and I'm sure that meaning conveys itself incredibly well in a meeting. I also personally really love the name and the history behind it. On a practical level, when you were launching the business, did you find it easy enough to edit all of our marketing materials?
Yeah, so it is something that, definitely takes time, but you guys would provide like white labeled materials that we were able to put our logo on. And so I did find it fairly easy. Um I think that I'm somewhat alone in the fact in this partnership that I am almost immediately started hiring people. That might not be for everybody that's choosing to become a partner or is a partner. I don't know the percentage of owners that do have employees, but I have people on staff that like that's what they love to do. So we're doing it for our clients and we just do it for ourselves. It comes almost second nature. So we really appreciate the like partner sessions that you guys offer. You're constantly still rolling out new technology, trying to make improvements from a support standpoint. My web developer is in regular communication with you guys, and you handle the publish process for websites and apps. So there's a ton of value of being a partner with Eazi-Business. It's even though I'm branded as True North Technologies, yeah, I have a ton of pride in letting them know like what type of product we offer and that there's like this entire support team behind us. So there's benefits to um, having your name associated with us as well.
So, really, really interesting. And one of the things you mentioned in that response, and something I was curious to learn more about, was the process of hiring employees. So, how many employees do you have? What do they do? Are they based locally, overseas? How does that structure work?
I really value having employees here locally. So I have 5 employees, and then I have some, you know, local subcontractors that also work for us. I wanted to run a company and I wanted to have employees that I got to see and inspire and work with on a regular basis. I get a lot of joy from seeing them learn something new or um, helping a client. Like when they succeed, my employees have success. And like that is why I'm in business. I'm not in business because it's just the bottom line, the ultimate dollar. It's really about so much more. And I guess, as you get older in life, you realize like there's so much more to life than just the dollar. And it's harder to have local staff like, employee issues or just there's numerous, things to navigate when you have employees. But when I look back on the history of my business, we'll be partners 5 years in February. So um, when I look back at the history, like that's the meat of the story. It's the people that I've worked with over the years, the clients, the employees, and so I really do I value having staff here. And even if I have like bookkeeping help, it's a local bookkeeper. Like I try to keep all the dollars that I spend in this community. Um, I want people to know that when they spend money at True North, it's supporting a local employee too. So it's just there's a lot of agencies that are doing the virtual assistants and outsourcing all of their um, man hours to other countries, and that's fine. Like they are probably just in a different space than I am, that, they really need to have like a higher net margin. Um, I'm really, I'm doing this for so many other reasons than just to make money. So I think every business has to make money. You can't be running a nonprofit, but I it's nice to know that, like, when your employee buys a car, you were able to like help them do that. Like, you provided the job opportunity that they're able to afford that car, or they move into a new apartment. It's that's what really we're doing this for, right? Like, I I might be different than some other people, but it's what I enjoy. I love hearing those stories from my employees.
Definitely. We've got plenty of partners that have built up their own team, so you're certainly not alone. I'm assuming you didn't hire 5 people in 1 month, though. I'd like to know more about your first hire and how you scaled the team.
Yeah, I love telling this story, honestly, because shortly after starting my business, I, you know, announced it on Facebook, and a friend of mine saw the post, and his son was in college, and he was, going to school to become like a web developer. And they wanted to get together and do lunch and just kind of find out what I was doing. And so this was probably only like 4 months into having the license with you guys. So Dylan was my first hire. That was my friend's son, and he's still with me today. Like, he's just been an amazing employee. He knows the ins and outs of everything when it comes to our apps and websites. And I think he's really proud of the fact that, like, that number keeps climbing. Like, we've published so many of these apps and websites, and he finds great pride in every website that he puts out. Um, and so after I hired him, I really had him focus on building the app demos that I would show to clients when I would go out and do sales meetings. So with having Dylan part-time, it was just able to free me up so that I could continue to do that networking. And I was able to have those sales meetings and then do the follow-ups that are involved with sales. So then as we started to have more sales, I needed kind of a graphic designer, because that wasn't really Dylan's background, and I didn't really have a lot of experience in um, graphic design, editing logos and that type of thing. So we had kind of a part-time graphic designer, then I had a part-time copywriter, and eventually those part-time roles turned into full-time roles. And then, being a futuristic type of person that I am, I decided that it would be so helpful if I had somebody to help manage all these employees. So then I hired a COO to kind of, yeah, free me up again so that I could go out and do sales. So it's just kind of, over time, you realize, like, I'm either working on the business or I'm working in the business. And if you're trying to do both, it can just burn you out. And so there was so many times that I was kicked out of my office by the cleaning people at midnight. And, at that point, you're just like, I need help. I need to bring some more people on. And sometimes I did that before the revenue was there, because I wanted to invest in my company and I wanted to get further faster. So I kind of had the luxury of being able to hire before the revenues were there every single time. And generally speaking, the revenues followed. So um, and I've had turnover in almost all those positions now, except for my web developer. Grateful for him to still be here today, and we'll be getting to our 5-year anniversary for him soon. So it's pretty exciting, but yeah, there's there's a lot to learn with managing employees, though. So I think you when you hire someone, they assume that you've been in business and you've like been doing this for 10, 20 years, but I hadn't been. So sometimes you learn some things the hard way. So
Definitely. I couldn't agree more. So, thinking about the commercials behind the business, how much are you charging for these solutions locally? Does it depend, or are you going out at a flat rate?
Yeah, we generally have a rate sheet and it's a flat rate. Sometimes we'll have to do a customized package for people, especially if they're doing multiple services, then we can, um, that reduces the number of hours when it comes to like my project manager. Um, so we do have set rates for like a 5-page website or a 10 feature mobile app. And that's changed tremendously over the years. In the beginning, I was able to, I just wanted the business. I wanted to prove that we were good at what we did. And, now that we have experience and we've been doing this, we have like professional copywriting and we handle everything for the client, top to bottom on a custom built website. Um, it's worth so much more. So it just takes time to get to that level, but we've, finally gotten to a point where we're still lower than some of the largest agencies in Lincoln, but we're higher than a freelance website developer too.
So, how much would an app or a website cost me if I were to come to True North Technologies? Which I definitely would, by the way, if I was a local business in your area.
Yeah, I we do a 5-page website for 7,900, and then an app we do for 6,800 right now. They're still responsible for paying for their developer accounts, and there's hosting, monthly hosting that is associated. They also have a monthly fee to have the app and website. Um, so it's a lot easier when you have just a set price, and if you're out of someone's budget, you're out of someone's budget. That's okay. Like um, I we want to work with people that are, perhaps building their second website. They tried it themselves first, and or maybe they had a friend build it, but they've kind of outlived the useful life of that website. Like they're ready to invest in their business and get a professional website done for them. So those are kind of the more ideal client for us.
Definitely. Towards the start of the interview, you talked about becoming familiar with SEO during the pandemic. I think everybody became familiar with different things during that period because we all had so much time on our hands. I was absolutely no different. How much would you charge for SEO on a monthly basis? Do you have default packages or is it price per hour? How does that model work?
We do like a monthly rate, and we include SEO blog and weekly Google Business Profile updates with our SEO service. And we do go through their entire website and Google Business Profiles to make sure that everything's set up correctly from an SEO standpoint, really build out and make their Google Business Profile more robust. So there is a setup fee, and then there's, an ongoing monthly fee for that service.
Perfect. That's really, really helpful just to get some sort of insight as to how you've structured things, but also given us some insight as to how well the business is doing. Final question, because I'm mindful that I've kept you here for far, far longer than I intended, but honestly, I've just found the conversation really interesting. What advice would you give to someone who's considering joining the Eazi-Business network and launching this type of business?
Well, anytime anyone asks me if they should start a business, my answer is yes. Like it's the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my entire life. And it hasn't been easy, and it won't be easy. But if you have any grit whatsoever, um, if you stick with it, like what we do with digital marketing, website and app development, any advertising, it is the future. Like this is something that every single business needs. We will never be um not needed, but it's a competitive industry. I do think that people should, consider that and look and see how many competitors they have in their community. And yeah, you're gonna have to stick it out during the hard times. It's not perfect, and there's a lot of things I wish I knew then that I know now, but if I had known them, I probably wouldn't have done it. So you can sit around and think about things forever till you're blue in the face, but like, what's the worst thing that happens? You go back to working for someone else. that's about it. Like you can still fall back on your skills, and you've in the meantime learned a lot of great information. Maybe were some hard lessons, but um I guess at the end of the day, you're just going to have a great experience, and it may not be the result that you wanted, um, but you'll look back on that time in your life with a lot of pride, and you did the hard thing. Like not everyone is cut out to be a business owner. So, but there's some people that are just not meant to be business owners either. So like you have to really know yourself. You have to look at your strengths and whether or not that's the right fit for you. But um working with Eazi-Business has been a great experience for me, and it just sort of kicked it all off for me. Like without them, if I had just tried to do this on my own, that would have been impossible. I couldn't have done that. Um, I would have probably had to buy a different business that was in existence or something. But it was cool that I was able to start my own company kind of from scratch. But they gave me the tools that I needed right away, like the landing page, business cards, print materials, and that sales training was huge. So, um, yeah, I would not be sitting in this seat 5 years later if it hadn't been for Eazi-Business.
I've gone far over the amount of interview time, but it's just been really fun to talk to you and learn lots about your business. I really appreciate your feedback today, and thanks again for all your time. Looking forward to speaking with you soon.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.